Finally, the final episode of the Dota 2 What Items to Buy Itemization series, and this time we are going to cover all the lost and forgotten items from the previous 5 videos. These are the items that no one really cares about. Actually, that's not really true, but most of them are component items that are used to upgrade into the bigger items that we've gone through already. A lot of the time I will be talking about the upgraded items we talked about earlier, and for more explanation of these ones, please refer back to the previous videos in this series. Now I've tried to split these up into sections, but some of them are kind of difficult to place, so I'll just sort of call them whatever for now. Anyway, let's just get started with the first category, forgotten but not lost. The very first forgotten but not lost item is the Tome of Knowledge. The Tome is actually a wonderful item for support heroes who are busy supporting and not leveling up. One Tome of Knowledge becomes available for purchase at the 10-minute mark and every 10 minutes after that. The tomes grant you a decent chunk of experience and get stronger as more tomes are consumed, making the XP gain scale throughout the game. It is pretty cheap, which is good because support heroes are the ones who need to pick them up, as they are typically the most underleveled, although sometimes some greedy cores will take them instead. So you've bought 15,000 sentries and dusts for the Riki and 3 other enemy heroes with shadow blades on the other team, as well as for dewarding, but you're getting sick of it. Now it's time to buy a Gem of True Sight. This handy little gem grants you true sight in an area around you, allowing you to deward enemy wards and see enemy invisible heroes. The only drawback with this item is that if you die, it will drop to the ground and anyone can pick it up. You'll usually want to get this on a support or tanky hero that rarely dies, but you'll still need to consider the right time to purchase this item, as you don't want to die soon after and give it to the enemy. The Windlace is a neat little item that grants you some bonus movement speed. It is very occasionally picked up as a starting item on roamer heroes to move around the map quicker, but is more often bought in the early game. Supports with an extra slot can make use of one of these without ever needing to really upgrade it, but the Windlace is a common component used to upgrade into a Yule Scepter, a Drum of Endurance, a Solar Crest or Tranquil Boots. Also, just so you know, Windlaces don't stack, so you don't get extra movement speed if you have more than one. One of the more decent health regen items in the early game is the Ring of Tarrasque. This one gives a boost to your health pool and also a boost to your health regen to help sustain you. The Ring of Tarrasque can be picked up on its own, but it can also be upgraded into the Holy Locket or the Heart of Tarrasque. Now the Gloves of Haste give a pretty decent attack speed bonus for a small price, however it is unusual to pick these up unless you will be upgrading them into something else. The gloves can be upgraded into Power Treads, a Hand of Midas, an Armlet of Mordigion, or a Drum of Endurance. Pretty much every lifesteal item in the game is based on the Morbid Mask, which is the component that actually provides the lifesteal. Most of the time, this item is picked up on core heroes, and usually before the other components in the recipe so that they can sustain themselves in the jungle from a lower level. Without some form of regen, going to the jungle and tanking the creeps too early causes you to lose too much health and you'll need to buy extra regen, but the Morbid Mask can save you from this. It can be upgraded into the Vladimir's Offering, Mask of Madness or Satanic. Now if you just want to grief your team and hide in invisibility forever, then grab the Shadow Amulet. This item will grant you a small attack speed bonus just like the Gloves of Haste, but will also allow you to go invisible in the position you are standing after a short fade time. Moving again will break the invisibility, but you can sometimes use this item for an ambush if you know the enemy is on their way through. Honestly though, this item is never picked up by itself unless it is being upgraded into a Glimmer Cape on support heroes or a Shadow Blade on core heroes. The Blades of Attack give a small boost to your attack damage for a nice cheap price. They are kind of useless on their own though, and do much more when upgraded into either the Phase Boots, Crystallis or Armlet of Mordigion. This is the category of the lost but not forgotten items, but this one I actually almost forgot, which is the Chainmail. This one is a cheap way to boost your armor a little bit, but again it's not always a good item by itself and is usually purchased to upgrade into Phase Boots, Blade Mail, Medallion of Courage or the Mechanism. Now for those of you that want some attack speed and damage, and of course the option to upgrade into some of the more powerful items in the game, you'll be purchasing a Quarterstaff at some point. The Quarterstaff upgrades into the Mask of Madness, Butterfly, Monkey King Bar or the Oblivion Staff, which actually can be upgraded again, but we'll go through that one in the upgrades section later. Alright, the Helm of Ironwill can and will make you stronger as it gives you some bonus armor and a reasonable amount of health regen. Most often though, this item is purchased to upgrade into the Armlet of Mordigion, Crimson Guard or the Nullifier. Now the Broadsword is sort of like a more powerful version of the Blades of Attack as it gives you a high amount of damage but also costs more than double the amount. This item is most commonly picked up when upgrading into the Blade Mail, Crystallis, Battle Fury or Helm of the Dominator. Even stronger and more costly than the broadsword is the Claymore. Again, kinda useless picked up on its own even though it looks like a huge bloody sword, but this one is best when upgrading into the Shadowblade or Satanic. Alright, so the Javelin is actually quite a strong item that can be picked up by itself on certain heroes like Pangolier or Windranger, as it grants a chance to pierce through evasion and deal bonus magic damage. On heroes that have abilities that can increase your attack speed, this item is really powerful as the bonus damage can strike more often and tear opponents to shreds. The Javelin is a component in the Monkey King bar, which makes sense for the True Strike component, and it's also a component in the Maelstrom as well. The final forgotten but not lost item is the Mithril Hammer, which according to the description was forged from pure mithril. Now I don't think I'd ever have guessed that, but anyway, this one gives more damage than the Claymore, but it is an important item in a lot of upgraded recipes including the Black King bar, Skullbasher, Battle Fury, Maelstrom and Desolator. Cool, so now we can forget about those ones and move over to the items of the secret store, which houses some of the strongest components in the game. Although the store location is not really that secret anymore. The first item from the secret shop is the Ring of Health, which can be a great sustain item in lane when purchased early enough. This one gives a decent amount of health regen for under 1000 gold and is a component for a number of recipes that are commonly picked up and upgraded into. The Ring of Health can be upgraded into the Vanguard, the Hood of Defiance, or the Perseverance, all of which can be upgraded further. The Void Stone is the mana version of the Ring of Health and grants a reasonable amount of mana regen to help sustain you in the late laning stage or as you start moving around the map to farm jungle or push objectives and take fights. Again, this one can be upgraded into the Perseverance, Yule's Scepter, Aether Lens or the Scythe of Eyes. This next one is one of 3 so-called boosters that gives boosts to your health or mana. This one is called the Energy Booster, which increases your mana pool a reasonable amount. Now I wouldn't recommend picking this one up by itself though, however it is needed when being upgraded into the Arcane Boots, Holy Locket, Aether Lens, Lotus Orb, Aeon Disc or Soul Booster. Second in the boosters is the Vitality Booster, which gives a boost to your health pool. Again, not great on its own, but it is a component in the Heart of Tarask, Aeon Disc, Spirit Vessel, Vanguard or Soul Booster. The final booster is the Point Booster and gives an increase to both your health and mana at the same time. This one isn't too bad on its own, but it is usually purchased to be upgraded into an Agnum Scepter, Eye of Skadi or the Soul Booster, which I'll talk about a bit more in the upgrade section. Now if the Chainmail isn't enough for you, then you need its big brother, the Plate Mail. Now the tooltip description here is really handy because it is a heavy item and will crush your toes if dropped. Anyway, this one gives a decent boost to your armor, which is great against physical attacks, though it is usually purchased as part of the Assault Cuirass, Shiver's Guard or Lotus Orb. Need to dodge some physical attacks? Then look no further than the Talisman of Evasion. Well actually, look a little bit further because it can be upgraded, but this item by itself grants a small percentage bonus to your evasion. This is best picked up when upgrading into the Heaven's Halberd or Butterfly. I think this is the single most powerful attack speed item in the game that isn't an upgrade, and that is of course the Hyperstone. This gives a high attack speed increase to your hero and can sometimes work when picked up by itself. That being said though, it can be upgraded into the Moonshard, Assault Cuirass, Mjolnir or Bloodthorn. Now I love items that boost attributes in this game, and the strongest all-rounder here is the Ultimate Orb, which currently gives 10 to your strength, intelligence and agility, which increases your maximum health, mana and armor plus 10 damage for whichever your primary attribute is, among other things. The orb has a number of upgrades and they are the Scythe of Ice, Lincoln Sphere, Skadi, Manta Style, Solar Crest and Silver Edge. Moving up from the damage that the Claymore gives, the Demon Edge gives even higher damage but at quite a price. Damage items like this are good to purchase, but usually only when being upgraded into a more useful item. In this case, the Demon Edge is the component in the Daedalus, Monkey King Bar and the all-powerful Divine Rapier. These next 3 items give a high boost to one of 3 stats, and the Mystic Staff is the first of them, which boosts the Intelligence stat. This is not a cheap item though, and is kinda useless by itself except for a few heroes that really benefit from the Intelligence increase with some scaling abilities. It is best purchased when being upgraded into the Scythe of Eyes, Shiver's Guard or Octarine Core. The Reaver is a strength item which gives a nice boost to your strength stat and thus your health pool and health regen. This is quite a good item for the health increase, but only pick this up if you are upgrading into the Heart of Tarrasque or Satanic. The last of the not so secret shop stat items is the Eagle Song, which is of course for boosting your agility stat. Another kind of useless item by itself, except for the extra damage on agility heroes, it is usually only picked up when upgrading into the Butterfly or Ethereal Blade. And the final and most expensive single component item at the secret shop, and actually in the whole game, is the Sacred Relic. This gives a huge increase to your attack damage, but is best when picked up to upgrade into the Nullifier, Radiance or the Divine Rapier. Now let's move on to the attributes for days section, which as you can probably guess is all about them strength, intelligence and agility gains. The first one is the Belt of Strength, and I bet you can't guess which attribute this one is for.
I don't know, sir.
Yeah, so this strength bonus translates into a small increase to health and health regen, and some damage if you are a strength hero. It is known for upgrading into the Power Treads, Skull Basher, Sange and Necronomicon. Next up is the Band of Elven Skin, which ups your agility a bit, translating into some additional attack speed and armor, as well as damage if you are an agility hero. The main reason to purchase this one though is when you are planning to upgrade it into the Yasha or Dragonlance, which I will discuss shortly. This item can also substitute for the Belt of Strength when upgrading into the Power Treads. Another cheap stat item is the Robe of the Magi, which is similar to the last two, but provides a bonus to your intelligence stat this time, boosting your mana pool and mana regen, as well as damage if you're an intelligence hero. This one upgrades into the Power Treads, Oblivion Staff, Kaya, Blade Mail and Diffusal Blade. The Crown is a relatively new stat item which provides a small boost to all attributes. It has no description because it is quite boring, but aside from that fun fact, the Crown can be upgraded into a Dagon, Helm of the Dominator, Drum of Endurance, Rod of Atos or Veil of Discord. Moving up to the more powerful stat items now, and starting with the strength item, we have the Ogre Axe. This gives a higher boost to your strength stat, increasing health and health regen, and picking this component up for most recipes is usually a good start because of the bonus health. The Ogre Axe can be upgraded into the Echo Saber, Aghanim Scepter, Black King Bar, Meteor Hammer, Sange and Dragonlance. The agility equivalent of the Ogre Axe is the Blade of Alacrity, and gives you some extra armor and attack speed. According to the lore, this one is imbued with time magic, whatever that means. Anyway, this one is a component in the Aghanim Scepter, Yasha and Diffusal Blade. Last but not least in the attributes category is the Staff of Wizardry, which boosts your intelligence stat and again your mana and mana regen. The upgrades for this one are the Yule Scepter, Force Staff, Dagon, Aghanim Scepter, Meteor Hammer, Kaya and Rod of Atos. Alright, and the moment we've all been waiting for, and that is the upgraded items that all of these components can build, except for the ones already covered in the previous videos. The first one here is the Soul Ring. This is actually quite a neat little item as it gives a small amount of strength and some health regen, but has a useful little active that consumes some of your health for a temporary boost to your mana. To use this effectively, you want to use it just before you're about to cast a spell, as it basically uses your health instead of your mana pool. I find this quite useful to spam in the lane on offlane heroes, but it can be useful on some casters or safe laners as well to help sustain your mana pool while farming. Now we talked about the components which can make up the Oblivion Staff before, but this thing is a component itself for the Orchid Malevolence or the Echo Saber. By itself though, it grants a boost to your intelligence, attack speed and damage, as well as a small amount of mana regen. Typically, you would only get this if you are planning to upgrade it though, as there is no extra ability that it provides you. The Perseverance is kinda like the ultimate in passive regen, as it combines a Ring of Health and a Void Stone together to give you some health and mana regen. The regen is really nice, but the item can be further upgraded into a Refresher Orb, Lincoln Sphere, Lotus Orb or Battle Fury. Again, not really an item you pick up by itself, as it is best to be upgraded. The Nullifier is a very powerful item which is best on core heroes and is really strong against heroes with various buffs. It has an active which dispels the targeted hero continuously for 5 seconds, and also slows the target hugely every time they are attacked. The item can also be a counter for various items, as the dispel will purge any buffs in that period, such as a Force Staff usage. Aside from the dispel, the item also gives a huge boost to damage, as well as some armor and health regen. Alrighty, the Meteor Hammer was known as the meme hammer for a while, as it was just so underpowered, but it has received some buffs and I see it picked up more often now. This thing actually gives some really good strength and intelligence stats, as well as decent health and mana regen. It also has an active ability which after a 2-second channel time stuns and damages enemies and a small AoE, as well as applying a damage over time effect. This effect actually damages buildings as well and can sometimes be quite useful for sieging the enemy's base. If you are needing some early protection or tankiness, an early Vanguard can be a great item to pick up. It gives a nice boost to your health and health regen, but also contains a passive which has a chance to block a portion of incoming damage. The extra survivability can be useful on tanky heroes like Underlord or Axe, and can be further upgraded into a Crimson Guard or an Abyssal Blade on carry heroes. Remember the 3 boosters from the secret shop we talked about? Well, if you buy all 3 of these, they actually combine into a soul booster. This gives a fairly big increase to your health and mana, but it is quite pricey, especially since it does nothing else. It does have a couple of upgrades however, and they are the Octarine Core and the Bloodstone. I can't believe I didn't mention the Shivers Guard in the core video, but anyway, this item is really handy on tanky frontline heroes that need an increase against physical damage. It provides a high boost to your intelligence and armor, as well as a passive ability which reduces the attack speed of all nearby enemy heroes. The Shivers also has an active which sends out a pulse of frost from itself which deals damage and slows the enemy for a few seconds. An important item for ranged carry heroes is often the Dragon Lance. Many of the ranged carry heroes don't want to be too near the enemies in a fight, and the Dragon Lance helps by increasing your attack range by a small amount. Aside from the increase in attack range, it also provides a decent agility and strength boost, and can be upgraded into the Hurricane Pike for further separating yourself from the enemy. Alright, so these last items are all part of the same item group, which can each be combined with each other depending on what you need. I already mentioned the Kaya in the core video, but that is the intelligence version. The next one here is the Sange, or Sanga, or whatever you want to call it, and this one is an increase to your strength attribute, status resistance, and boosts your health regen and lifesteal. This one can be upgraded and is part of the Heaven's Halberd, Sange and Yasha, or Kaya and Sange. The agility equivalent of the Sange or Kaya is the Yasha. The Yasha gives a reasonable agility and attack speed increase, as well as a movement speed increase, which is really nice. Manta Style, Sange and Yasha, or Yasha and Kaya are all upgrades which require a completed Yasha. Now when you combine a Kaya and a Sange, you get very originally a Kaya and Sange. This thing basically combines the effects of each component, so you get a combination of strength and intelligence increases, status resistance, health regen, and lifesteal amp, mana cost reduction, and spell amplification. This can be a decent item on offensive spellcasters who need a bit more tankiness to help them survive if they get focused. The lucky last item here is the Yasha and Kaya. Similar to the last item, this one boosts your intelligence, spell amp, and mana cost reduction. By adding the Yasha instead of the Sange, increases your agility, attack speed, and movement speed. This can make a glass cannon a bit more evasive and able to move around the map and kill enemies even faster, but can be risky as you get absolutely no defensive capability from this item. And done! Now you are an expert in items, and I can't wait to see you in the Immortal ranks. But seriously guys, if you have watched all the episodes and followed along, then you will have a really good foundational understanding and knowledge of each and every item in the game. This will all help you to make some better decisions about what to buy and when. Now I really hope you've got a lot out of the series, and I'd really appreciate it if you could share the videos and playlists with your friends if you think they might need it. Any likes and subscribes would be loved as well, as this will help me to continue to grow my channel and make more and more content for you all. Now that the series is over, I'm going to work on a few other ideas I've got and try to create some more entertaining videos, so I hope you'll come back for those ones, and yeah. Awesome everyone, thanks again for watching, I'm Defied, and happy gaming.